My name is John Chosin. I'm a Marine. I went into the Marine Corps on February 6, 1948. June the 15th, they told us we're shipping out. So we went from Camp Lejeune to Camp Pendleton to make up the 1st Marine Division. Well, in Korea, and September 15th, we landed at Incheon. Incheon was kind of a tough landing because there was a 15-foot seawall we had to climb. And that was because of the way the tides come and went. Incheon was not heavily fortified. If it was, most of us wouldn't have been here today. But they never believed that we'd land at Incheon, but we did. From Incheon, we went and secured Seoul. After we secured Seoul, we come back to Incheon, boarded ship again and landed at Wonsan. Went from Wonsan Harbor up to the Maginot. That's when we went to the Chosin. On November 26th, we boarded trucks and we took them from Coterie to Hagaruri. And Hagaruri, to me, was the key. If Hagaru would have fell, I don't think the 5th and the 7th Marines would ever made it out of Navy because they had to come through Hagaru and we had to hold it. Hagaru was held by 2 companies, not regiments, not battalion. Next morning, we were called the 3rd Platoon on patrol. So we went on patrol. I was with machine guns and my gun was attached to the 3rd Platoon. We hit the Chinese about maybe 1:30 that afternoon. They attacked us. We fought until about 4:30. The Aussies came in with Grumman's and strafed and napalmed them. And one of the pilots flew overhead and found out later that he didn't have nothing to tie the note to, so he took his boot off and put the note in the boot, and he threw it and landed at the lieutenant's feet. And the note says, "Get the hell out of there, they're trying to encircle you." There's 3 to 500 Chinamen returned back to the perimeter about 4:30, and then at 4:30 it was dark and getting cold, a lot colder than it was last night. Through the night, I went in to the warm-up tent, and the gunner says, "I'll take the first watch, you take the second watch." I wake you at 10:30. So at 10:30, they woke me. They said the Chinese are hitting us. So we got to the gun. By the time I got to the gun, my gunner was dead. So I took over the gun, and we were overrun. They overrun us. And we fought them, and we thought that we were by ourselves with the Chinese all night. Next morning, they come up and pushed them back out. Well, let me go back to November 27th, and the night that they hit us. 10:30 that night is when the Chinese hit us. Back off of patrol, its temperatures had already dropped down from probably 30 degrees down to about 10 below, and it was getting colder, and it was too cold to dig a foxhole. That night when they hit us, we didn't have a foxhole laying on top of the ground. I looked up and there's a guy coming at me, and I got up on one knee and I started firing with a carbine, wouldn't fire. 3 times I hit the bolt with a rock and wouldn't fire. The cold weather was so bad that the carbines wouldn't fire. Half the times the M1s wouldn't fire. Machine gun finally quit. It was too cold. The 45 was the only thing that I found that fired pretty good, mostly because it was most of the time on the inside of your Parker, where it was out of the cold. Now, to take a machine gun apart, they give us mittens. Now, if you can take a machine gun apart with mittens, I'll give you a cigar. You have to take the gloves off. And bare metal with the temperatures down about 40 to 50 below zero. You can imagine trying to fix that up. It just don't work. It was so cold that the cold affected them just as much as it affected us. And they weren't nearly as equipped for the cold as we were. A lot of them had cold weather gear that covered only down to their ankles, and they come in with tennis shoes, so we couldn't hear them coming in. Can you imagine 38 to 48 below zero in tennis shoes? You know, all the time that you're fighting, you don't have time to think about home. You think about what's coming at you, what's in front of you. You're not thinking about nothing else. You're thinking about the guy next to you. Is he still alive? That's what you're thinking about. We landed in San Francisco, and I was happy to see the shore that I finally made it home, because there were nights at the Hydro where you actually prayed. Tell me one guy that says that he didn't pray. When you get home, that's all behind you. You're not thinking about that. You're thinking about what's ahead of you. When I got home, first you got a reporter from the local paper that wants your interviews. At that time, you don't care to give interviews. You're for some reason, early in your life, after battles, you don't want to talk about. One thing that I regret very much right now, I'm 84 years old. Korea's been behind me for a long time, and I regret I never told my son much about Korea. It's too late.